In December of 1972, I went to the altar in Mount Calvary Church of God in Christ and gave my heart to Jesus Christ. I did that because of what I was taught from the days of my youth. My parents, devout, charismatic C.O.G.I.C followers, taught me that Jesus is the way and only way. To add to that confusion, I had been indoctrinated that the Church of God in Christ is the only church that was so-called right. There was a song sung in C.O.G.I.C that impressed upon my already misguided belief. It went something like this. This is the Church of God in Christ. This is the Church of God in Christ. You cannot join it. You must be born in it. This is the Church of God in Christ. Those lyrics said to me that the Church of God in Christ was the only church so-called right with God. Now, here are the grave, and I do mean grave problems with that belief and Christian practice. I will address each bullet in the following order. Number 1, Mount Calvary Church of God in Christ. Number 2, Jesus Christ. Number 3, my parents, devout, charismatic C.O.G.I.C followers. Number 4, Jesus is the only way. Number 5, C.O.G.I.C is the only church that is so-called right. Mount Calvary Church of God in Christ, like any Church of God in Christ, and its name are man-made, man-instituted, man-incorporated, and governed by man's 501c3. I grew up in C.O.G.I.C, so I use that denomination as my immediate example. But the fact holds true with every Christian denomination, which include the following: Church of God, Baptist, Methodist, Presbyterian, etc. The following charts are my breakdown of the timeline of the development of Christianity and the varied denominations whose claim is the Christian God. This chart shows us many of the more popular Christian denominations that exist today. Mind you, the chart is not exhaustive, but I attempted to touch on the more prominent Christian movements. This chart does not focus on the details of their beliefs or the accurate number of their memberships, rather simply to identify the denomination and to present a snapshot of the varied beliefs and practices of Christianity. You can see their beliefs and practices vary, but they all essentially derive from or associated with Catholicism in many, many ways. We know before any of these denominations existed, there was the ancient belief and practice of Catholicism. The fundamental practices of Christianity have their root in Catholicism, some of which are Sunday church services, Jesus Christ and the cross, the crucifix of Jesus Christ, the cross itself, wearing robes and friar tuck collars, Christian holidays, especially Christmas, celebrating the pagan New Year of January. This chart shows a very brief timeline of the development of Christianity in the United States and worldwide. As you can see, the current state of Christianity is an apostasy state, as evidenced by the infiltration of many, if not the majority, of Christian churches. Apostasy, as defined by the online Blue Letter Bible, and perhaps the most direct definition, is forsaking Yahweh, was the characteristic and oft recurring sin of the chosen people, especially in their contact with idolatrous nations. It constituted their supreme national peril. The tendency appeared in their earliest history as abundantly seen in the warnings and prohibitions of the laws of Moses, found in Exodus 23:4, 23, Deuteronomy 6:14, and 11:16. The fearful consequences of religious and moral apostasy appear in the curses pronounced against this sin on Mount Ebal by the representatives of 6 of the tribes of Israel elected by Moses Deuteronomy 27:13-26, 28:15-68. So wayward was the heart of Israel, even in the years immediately following the national emancipation in the wilderness, that Joshua found it necessary to repledge the entire nation to a new fidelity to Yahweh and to their original covenant before they were permitted to enter the promised land. Joshua 24:1-28. Now, here are a few clips of what apostasy looks like that line the walls of 21st century churches.
Have you noticed now anything and anyone, they call themselves Christians? You will have a gay parade. That's right. And over 85% of the homosexuals will say we're Christians. Have you noticed now anything and anyone, they call themselves Christians? You will have a gay parade. That's right. And over 85% of the homosexuals will say we're Christians. Ask yourself, viewers, why T.D. Jakes don't say nothing about homosexuality, same-sex marriages, men with men, women with women? Think. Why don't he say nothing? He's busy flapping his hands around. Why don't he say nothing? Either you are against it or you condone it. Can homosexuality, in fact, the interview is on YouTube. Can homosexuality and the church coexist? Jakes didn't stutter. He said, why, certainly. Then Jake said, there's many ways. There's a whole lot of ways to get to God.
Do you think, I'm assuming, LGBT community and the black church can coexist?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
How should the black church and LGBT community exist?
I think it's going to be diverse from church to church. Every church has a different opinion on the issue, and every gay person is different. 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 And every gay person is different.
He's now positioned in a position of power and authority. He has given within him a belt. He now is given the Constitution of God as a king. I give this to you, Bishop, as a sign of covenant, as a sign of release, as my sign of love for you. They'll raise him up right now. He now is raised up from a commoner to a kingship. Come on, raise it up. And I'll walk him around. He's no longer a commoner. He's not on the earth. He's raised from He's not on the earth. He's raised from He's not on the earth. He's raised from earth.
This is what is called Christianity nowadays. The apostasy is evident, undeniable, and very strong. Many who continue to practice the tenets of faith of Christianity, their conscience seared with a hot iron, will argue until their last breath of the validity of the Christian religion. In part 2 of this teaching, Ruach HaKodesh will conclusively show how Christianity is irrelevant in today's world, and how the scriptures speak of the demise of the Christian religion. Part 2, I will focus heavily on the name Jesus Christ, the name that is haloed as Messiah's name, but the name that is proven not to be his name. This is H.S. Yaakov, his bondservant and watchman. Shalom wa barawak ak wa akwath. Always to the esteem of the Most High, Elohim Yah.